So, yeah, I don't know what it is. Man, you know what it is? It was cloudy yesterday. It's a good morning to sleep in. No, wait, they're all prospecting right now.
Ah,
It's a 1 hour time.
Is that what it is?
that's what it is.
All right, so we're up to $100. So please leave your phones turned on, because I'm going to have Sue call each and every one of you during the meeting. All right. I have a special guest in here today. We're about as far away as you can get and still be in the United States. Give it up for David Cohen. From New York City. Keller, Williams, Manhattan. Come on up. Why don't you come up and talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and maybe I can help you pass this stuff out.
All right, that would be great. Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Did not come prepared with too much to say, so I'm going to wing this. I do have a lead behind, though. I was up here for a wedding last night and thought it would be helpful and a good idea to kind of, stop by and say hello as well. Kind of interesting and a quick trip. I was actually in LA late last week. Flew up from LA to San Francisco. Had a nice long drive through traffic, but a nice weekend of wine tasting. My family, they're staying over in Calistoga, so I'm going to meet up with them. Some more wine tasting in a bit. But again, I wanted to stop by and say hello, meet the rest of the family, as we say. I am licensed in New York. I spent most of my career actually, and I think we've all probably had interesting, kind of paths to real estate. I spent most of my career in advertising, and a short time ago made the transition. I was doing some media sales and advertising sales, and having been a native New Yorker, I've lived in Manhattan about 20 years or so. Very familiar with the market, and kind of a few things led to my interest in getting involved with real estate, both from a personal and a professional perspective. Focused initially on the rental market, and now doing more and more sales. Keller Williams, believe it or not, is my one and only company. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to come out as well. I've heard so much about, I think you just mentioned something about mega camp and family reunions, which I'm looking forward to getting to and haven't yet. So again, when I came out here, perfect opportunity. I've stayed in Santa Rosa. I've been out here half a dozen or so times. I was just saying that it's primarily a Hyatt, which I understand is just kind of down the street from you all, that I've stayed at. So I love it out here. I try to come out as often as I can. I was just mentioning someone else, if there was anywhere else I can live, it probably would be here. Again, I'm a native New Yorker. Went to school, got my undergrad just outside the city. Close enough, about 30 miles away, I was able to see the skyline. Family in the area. I have relatives both in Manhattan and Brooklyn. So even though I grew up a little bit outside the city, we were always coming in. And the real estate, particularly in Manhattan, always interests me. It's kind of interesting to see changes and development and just kind of market changing. Don't want to take too much time. What I brought with me, we put out, as I'm sure many of our offices do, a quarterly report, which is really interesting. And again, I hope it's interesting to you. I hope it's just kind of helpful to get a sense of another market. Manhattan, New York in particular, is so different to the rest of the country for numerous reasons, not only population, but even things such as, which I'm learning more about, of other markets. We don't even have a traditional MLS. We kind of have a patchwork system, so to speak, and even the different boroughs are different. If I haven't said it, I focus specifically on Manhattan, and we kind of have, a little Manhattan resource, if you will, through REBNY, which is a real estate board in New York. But if you go to Brooklyn, it's a different system. Outside the city, there are traditional MLSs, which, again, as I understand, not being as familiar, does make it sometimes easier than others. Manhattan sometimes is said, and forgive me for being blunt, a little bit of the Wild West. But it makes it exciting, right? I'm not going to read off this, just kind of some top line points. crazy prices, just in general, on average, well over 7 figures. I mean, in Manhattan itself, it could be, anywhere, 1.2 and up. Square footage, Manhattan apartments, relatively small. I mean, one bedrooms can be, easily under 1,900, 800 square feet. Low inventory, we just were talking a little bit about it. Literally, a few thousand apartments being sold per month, incredibly high prices, as I mentioned. Don't mean to be repetitive for you, but for the rest of the group, a lot of investor money, a lot of outside money. Asia, interestingly enough, Canada, if you're familiar, Canadian dollar's been getting stronger and stronger. So it's about 1-to-1. I thought that was interesting, a lot of Canadian money coming in. Manhattan itself, obviously an island, limited, just kind of footprint, but there is development. As one example, if you're familiar, when the World Trade Center was built, they built Battery Park. Battery Park City is landfill. So they kind of extended the island. A lot of conversions. I live in a rental right now in the financial district, not far from Wall Street, used to be an office. A lot of conversions, which is interesting as well. Yeah. I lived, if you're familiar, 6th Avenue, Avenue of the Americas, heading up from southern Manhattan up towards Central Park. They rezoned a lot of that as well. I lived in an area called Chelsea. In the last, I would say, dozen to 15 years, they rezoned. Used to be a lot of parking lots. They would have antique swap type things on the weekend. And rezoned. Space was worth so much, 40-story high-rise. The few block area I was in probably 3 to 5 years, half a dozen buildings went up. Wow. Close to 40 stories, again, rezoning. And speaking of, going higher and higher, particularly around the park, I think we're breaking records relative to height. 50, 60, 70 plus stories. I think the Time Warner Center, which is in Columbus Circle, if you're familiar, kind of the southwest corner of the park, that's probably close to 80 stories, and there's actually a hotel part of it. So again, really tight market, very expensive, low inventory. Does make things really, really interesting. From the rental side as well, prices continue to remain really, really strong. Studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and so forth. I think the average price for an apartment, regardless of size, is probably about $3,500 a month. And that can be an apartment, again, under 1,000 square feet. Remains really, a strong, solid market. So I think those are kind of some highlights. Again, I'm a native New Yorker, got my degree just outside the city. I focus specifically what we would call southern Manhattan. Right now I live in the financial district, and I focus that area, Tribeca, which is on the west side, Chelsea, which I think I just mentioned as well, and kind of those areas, southwest tip of Manhattan. And that's me. I don't take too much more time.
No, I got a question.
Yeah, please.
Question, Jess. So you mentioned something to me that I had never heard before. It wasn't a co-op. It was a
Condop.
Condop. What?
We have
I'm
all
guessing.
kinds of
what is
all kinds of interesting rules and regulations. More of a hybrid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So co-op. You're buying shares in a building. You're not buying real property. A condo, you are, and you own. Condops, kind of a combination of each, where you'll have a condo, but they'll have a member board.
Right.
And there is a lot of conversion to that as well.
What is the incentive for that conversion? Why is that happening?
It really can vary tremendously. As one example, my grandparents who lived on the Upper West Side, they were in a rental, They were having lots of problems with the ownership. They formed a group, a community, and it was an easier way, again, this is from the rental side, but there had been a lot of talk about, well, would they convert, would they sell? And from a tenant right perspective, it made sense. And it's a similar type analogy in that case as well. You'll have some buildings, I lived in a co-op that had a land lease. So the maintenance was incredibly high. Family trust didn't want to sell. So as one example, if you'll have a building that has a land lease, well, what do? You know, who's going to renegotiate that? You know, what's going to happen with the assessments?
So just
again,
listening
it's-
to you, I mean, it sounds to me like out here, it's like you have you have somebody who specializes in residential real estate, doesn't do a lot, if any, a lot of leasing, that kind of stuff. It seems to me like are you saying kind of that everybody in the city needs to, they basically have to be versed in all of that? In other words, are you
From
doing
an aging
commercial stuff
perspective,
too?
yeah, no, there's a lot of specialization.
Is there?
A lot of focus in areas as well. Again, you know, where I'm focusing. I started out, you know, kind of as many people do in Manhattan on the rental side. You know, kind of quick transaction, quick, you know, commissions, and you build up your business, you know, a bit more and more. And a lot of people, you know, as I have, kind of converted to the sales side. There is, yes, a lot of specialization. Commercial side of the business, I know not enough and maybe too much to be dangerous, right? It's a little bit, yeah, there's certainly a lot of specialization.
So on the condops, do they still require the board member approval for you to purchase, or like the co-ops do, or?
So that'll vary building by building as well, interestingly. There are, again, there's a lot of these hybrids.
Conversation going on.
Pardon?
We were just saying.
A lot of conversation has been
Yeah.
going on between
Yeah.
agents,
Yeah.
to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are people that have focused not only on a neighborhood, but a few buildings. I mean, there really can be, you know, incredibly focused specialization.
Yeah, it'd be like
You
a
know,
vertical neighborhood.
It is, it is. You know, one of the buildings that I was thinking of that I had lived in, you know, over 400 units. I mean, that's just, you know, huge. And there are a lot of variances. You know, I wish I can kind of say, yes, this is more of the average, but in my experience, there's a lot of variance.
So when an escrow is it lawyers, or is it title companies, or does that vary as well? I mean, here, we go to a title company, there's no lawyers.
Yeah, lawyers are heavily
It is,
involved.
yeah, that's what I
it's,
thought.
You know, it's, yeah, absolutely.
So do you always have a group of lawyers that you work with, like we would have our relationship with our title companies and that, do you have?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh.
You know, I think, and we have a lot of people come in, you know, when we have sales meetings as well. You know, there are definitely, you know, kind of closely tied relations as an office will have, and many agents, you know, will have kind of a few people they specifically deal with.
Mhm.
That, you know, it's up, you know, to our clients and our customers, you know, we'll make our suggestions, but many agents kind of have, you know, the few people that, you know, they're closely tied with. That's why I'm just thinking of the recent Real Deal article. I mean, there are some, you know, incredibly well-priced lawyers. Usually flat fee, sometimes hourly, not commission based, primarily not.
And do you, I know that when I worked in the help business, trying to get what we call a preliminary title report was like, they didn't understand what I was asking. So that is a total different realm back there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just in general, you know, New York's such a, you know, Manhattan's such an interesting kind of anomaly, and the more people I'm meeting and speaking with, the more and more, you know, I'm getting the true sense of that, and, you
Of
know,
how
it's good
unique
for me.
you are, yeah.
You know, good or bad.
Yeah,
You know.
no, you are unique, yes.
I got one.
Cool.
So David, when you guys take a listing in Manhattan, is the buyer's agent paid through a cooperating agreement between the listing agent and the buyer's agent company, or is it different?
Yeah, so again, you know, through Revenue, kind of the New York Trade Organization, you know, we have, you know, code of conduct, so to speak. And, you know, typically, you know, it's really well-defined, you know, as to the split, and, you know, there'll be, you know, an equitable distribution. Hopefully.
Yeah, and is it, what's your typical real estate commission that you charge there, as per listing?
Earned, right, it's typically around 6%, you know.
Okay.
Kind of generally don't talk, you know, specific numbers, but amongst family, you know, typically about 6%.
So then
which is
typically-
equally divided range, right? But I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of generally the way.
So you offer listings on whatever your system it is, you said it's not really a centralized MLS,
Yeah, we
right?
have what's called OLR, and that's through REVNY, the trade organization in New York. So that's kind of like our pseudo MLS.
Mhm. Is that system only accessible by other real estate agents, or is it also a publicly accessible system?
No, that's closed.
Got it.
Just for the community. It's interesting that, you know, websites such as, if you're familiar with Street Easy, and there are certainly consumer-facing ones, they might not necessarily have all the access and all the information, but, you know, many things are public. You know, many times, you know, consumers will just say, okay, I'll go Street Easy, you know, I can kind of, you know, find the open houses, you know, myself, which, you know, many do. But something such as an OLR's, you know, kind of just for the trade.
I read an article that was saying that some areas that don't have a dominant MLS, like yours apparently, that Zillow and Trulia can be a major downfall or a hindrance in your guys'.
Downfall.
I like
what
as
manner?
in making the real estate agent a obsolete resource.
So, you know, such as with Street Easy, that's another one. From a rental side, there are sites such as RentHop, Trulia, which you mentioned. You know, Zillow is both. There's another, Naked Apartments. You know, people, you know, customers have, you know, just as with, you know, legal, you know, profession, they can do it themselves. I mean, clearly there's a value we're offering. You know, if they want to do the legwork, if they feel they can negotiate, if they feel they have all the same access, you know, certainly that right. It's not gonna, I don't think, in any way make us obsolete. You know, there are things that, you know, going through a co-op board, you know, I don't know, a typical consumer would want to do that. You know, kind of, you know, a package like that. I mean, there's obviously a lot of value we offer. It's interesting, coming from, you know, the marketing, the advertising world, there's certainly a democratization, you know, because of the internet and the web and things that are available, but is someone necessarily gonna wanna spend the time doing all of that? You know, inventory even might not necessarily always be posted on those outward facing sites. You know, if something's just coming on the market, it's not necessarily gonna be there. You know, if we have an investor from outside the country, they might not necessarily have access to that. So, I think it puts more of an onus on us to show and prove our value, but obsolete.
That's what the article said, was that there are some areas where 50% or more of the listings aren't even on the MLS because of its presence, and that Zillow and Trulia are seeing a ginormous amount of activity.
You still have to
Yes.
post it to something for Trulia and Zillow
Not
to
if
get
there's
it.
like a solid MLS, that's.
But I mean, if you had a listing, for Zillow to know you have a listing,
It has
you
to
have
pull,
to
it has to
post
pull.
it. You have to post it through something.
We're actually gonna talk about that today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
Somebody
I
has to
understand.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
You know, there's, you know, when something's posted, not to get, you know, too specific, I mean, there'll be, you know, a time frame that, you know, we're kind of required to post it. When I say, you know,
Right.
availability, it's kind of, you know, that window. You
Which in a
know,
market like
We have
yours is like key, I would
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, you got people lining up to present offers.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Which is intense.
Absolutely. You know, that's another part of it, you know, multiple offers on places. You know, one thing we're seeing in New York, all cash deals, no contingencies.
Right.
You know, for a general consumer to be involved with that, again, from the sales side, not, you know, from the rental, you know, is everyone gonna want, you know, to handle that?
Right.
trying to buy, and we were able to raise enough funds that kept the golf course, enough people, interested people that kept the golf course in its place. And so we learned that, or I learned that the attorneys are the one that handle everything. Is it the same in New York?
Yeah, I mean, the attorneys are very, as I was saying before, very, very involved. I mean, you know, they'll do their due diligence in going through, co-op board meetings and the financials. You know, those aren't things that we'll, go through. The contracts,
Yeah.
they'll be reviewing and writing, we'll help facilitate the process, but, it's, not our, domain, so to speak. So again, lawyers,
You don't
as I
write,
mentioned
you
before,
don't write the purchase contracts?
will write an offer,
Yeah.
but not the contracts. Lawyers
The
are
lawyers.
writing and
The lawyers.
handling.
So you
those
make an
documents.
offer, and after an offer is accepted, another contract is produced?
It's an offer letter, it's kind of, more of a highlight, if you will, more of, the specific specs, not the whole contract. Lawyers handling that end of it, and again, a lot of, we'll walk hand in hand, we'll make sure things are fine.
So what happens if you do a letter of intent, and the seller and the seller's agent say this is the one we'll take, and then it goes to the lawyers if they alter something that's not acceptable? And how it-
I'm sure that never happens.
That can happen, it certainly can happen. Things can fall apart very quickly, until, and I hear it often, until, everyone's signing, there's always, always a chance.
It's just a different, it's the same obstacles that we deal with, it
Yeah.
just comes at different times, yours comes
Exactly.
right up front.
No, it comes at the.
Well, it
closing
can come anytime, is
Can
what
come
I'm
at the
saying.
closing.
Until things are signed, you're at the closing table. From our perspective, that's the focus, that's when we're getting
Yeah.
paid. We're not getting paid before that happens. And again, that's why we're working hand in hand a lot.
Yeah, and do you have the buyers and sellers signing at the same time at the same table? I can't remember the term.
Well, yeah, so not at the very same time, but
Oh,
at the
okay.
same table.
All right.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All
It's
right.
kind of, the transfer of title, so to
Right.
speak, and one's
Right.
gonna start, pass it to the
Right.
other, and then the other sign. But yeah, no, they'll be,
That's,
they'll be there at the same time
Right.
with the lawyers,
Right.
with the agents,
Right.
kind of a big party,
It's a
the
party
full
time.
group, the full group.
Love all around too, love.
But definitely, if there are questions, I'm available. I have,
Thank you.
cards to pass out.
Yeah, I have
as
his
well,
back of
if
your
you-
card, of his cards
you
right
know,
back
if you
here.
want. Again, I wanted, I think one great thing, as I mentioned before, Keller Williams is my one and only, home. And, I hear so much about, the different events and the networking opportunities, family reunion, mega camp, and, we've had people, come into our office, so I wanted to do that as well. And again, I love it out here, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to say hello. I spent the weekend on the other, Napa side, so I wanted to head over here.
Yeah, and get some Manhattan referrals going on too, yeah?
So if you need anything, I can email this report, kwnyc.com. I think there are only 2 that are posted online, but if there's anything else you want or need, please reach out.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very
thanks,
much.
David. Let's start with successes. Yeah, we got really excited about Profit Share this month, and Eileen's, I know, excited to share that with you guys. So before we do that, let's talk about successes from last week to this week. Who has something going on, something that happened, a success in their business they want to share with everybody? Brett?
I walked and knocked my neighborhood on Saturday, and I had about 6 people in my database.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. Oh wait, aren't you have to do that, don't you? Aren't you in, you're not in bold, but you're going to be, but you have to do it also for what other reason? You're not in bold, which you would have to do it if you were in bold.
Okay.
But why else do you have to do it?
For my survival in the business.
That's awesome, way to go, 6 contacts?
Yes, I mean, 6 actual
Fantastic.
contacts with content
That's what I
information,
mean,
plus
yeah,
another,
that information.
probably half a dozen people that people in my neighborhood know, they just got my cards and they know
Excellent.
that I'm there, so.
Way to go, that's a huge success.
Yeah, he sits in the office next to mine, so
Can you hear it going
Yeah, you
on?
can hear it go.
That's good. Isaiah, you were raising your hand. You were going like this.
No.
You're, no success then, since last week to this one?
Uh,
On the spot.
no successes in business, wonderful family life.
Well, that's a huge success.
Yeah.
Very good. Awesome. Did you have something?
Yeah, I did one, just raise my hand. Yes, I sold Materi Circle.
Nice.
And I sold it about 40,000 over list price. So,
Very cool.
yeah, wait.
How many offers?
One higher than over.
So they just came in, they
It was
came
like
in
the
strong,
list
yeah.
was so he came in a week before.
Yeah.
And I emailed him back and I said, why don't you try again?
That's
He
good.
emailed me back, how's this for trying again?
Yeah, so they really wanted it.
Yeah.
Way to go. That's fantastic. Good job. Sean?
Door knock, 190 homes, because I realized that there was a misspelling on my door knock, but it wasn't. And the lady was packing up her stuff, and she says, oh, well, there was some guy that dropped pumpkins for a while, but this seems like fake, so I'll meet with you Wednesday, and she's selling September 1st, so. I got a listing,
Awesome.
I got a listing appointment, I took a pocket listing, and then I put one in escrow, and then I reviewed 2 offers today.
Way to go. You know what that story reminds me of? Are you gonna be with them when they make a decision to sell? Who says that all the time? What's his name that teaches the EH class? Gosh darn it.
Trademark,
Michael Trinhart. Are you gonna be with them when they decide to sell? You could, the guy that did pumpkins, probably a great real estate agent or girl, whoever was doing it, spent a lot of, I mean, pumpkins are way heavier than door knockers too, so you could say they're even working harder, maybe, I don't know, but they weren't there when you were there.
I'll take door knockers over pumpkins.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What are you gonna wheel a cart? But I mean, what a great idea, right? Either one of them. But the fact is, you know, that's what Bold's all about. It's about being in front of, are you gonna be in front of them when they decide to sell? And if you don't even ask, you don't even know if they're in a position to sell, if they're even thinking about selling. Most people don't even ask for the business. Even people who knock on doors a lot of times don't ask for the business. I've had people knock on my door before in Sacramento, and this is their script. Hi, my name's Roy, I'm with Keller Williams, and I just want to introduce myself to everyone in the neighborhood today. And I'm like watching the game, hanging out with my family, and I'm like, really? I mean, and that wasn't the person's name clearly, and that wasn't their company, but I was thinking, man, that's just a wild thing to do. Like, that's like saying, I just thought I'd knock on your door today because I wanted to interrupt you from what you're doing for no reason.
What's your intent?
Yeah, and I'd rather have somebody doorbell ditch me because I can close the door faster. So I just think it's fantastic. You go out, ask for the business, get a deal. 190 doors and a listing. That's fantastic, and probably more than that. How many people did you talk to? When you hit 190 doors, how many people were you able to
I
actually
think
talk to?
probably 30.
That's pretty good.
I got a refi client from a lender,
Mhm.
and 2 other potential listings.
That's awesome. Way to go.
Oh, I have an ad call that's going to be listing from Tuesday.
Nice. How good ad?
Yeah, over, for the KW ad that we did our extravaganza, I had Materi. Even though it was incorrectly stated in the ad, I still rescued it. It said it was 1 bedroom, 1 bath for $780,000.
Mhm.
But, and I said, well, is that what you're looking for? You know?
Yeah.
And so I kind of salvaged, saved it.
Mhm.
And well, because it's a short sale, she cannot have a house to sell. I said, do you have a house to sell to make the purchase? And she said, yes, I do. I said, well, then this one won't work for you, but do you have somebody helping you sell your house? And she said, no, so I'm meeting her on Tuesday. But I
Nice.
said, that's what you gotta do first. You're doing it backwards. You have to sell your house first.
Mhm.
So, I'm meeting her on Tuesday to talk to her about selling her house.
That's awesome. Way to go. Way to go. Has anybody noticed, really, yeah, hang on one second. We'll just give me 1 second. Has anybody noticed, like 3 or 4 months ago, we started talking about what was gonna get big?
FSBOs and expires.
Yes. And has anybody noticed what's happening right now? Yes. David and I just talked about this, because we were talking about the difference in the markets and stuff when he came out here. Prices went up in Sonoma County in 2013 by just a tad over 21%, right? So here's the 21% trend line, right here. And here's the end of 2013. And here's what prices have been doing. So now we're on about an 11% trend line. but people are still listing up here. And so you're starting to see inventory increasing, but it's overpriced inventory, which is a gold mine for anybody who wants to get on the phone. Because these are gonna expire, and there's all the tools, you guys know them, Land Voice, the Red X, all that we talked about, a lot of that stuff. And all you need, you don't even need a great script, you just need a script. And you need to be the first one calling them. How early do you start calling expires in the morning?
Well, I call them in the afternoon, and if they
Okay.
don't answer, I'll go call that person in the morning.
Okay,
But
and
not
when you
early.
call them in the morning,
I-
how early? You don't call super early?
I don't want to wake anybody up.
That's okay. Anybody in here start calling early? How early do you start calling expires?
7:30.
7:30. It's a weekday. They're up. If they're not, they need to get a job.
Well, they're trying to get to work.
Well, they might be real estate
They
agents.
need me.
Huh?
They need me.
They got someone else getting some money.
Yeah, exactly. They gotta make that up. They absolutely need you. What you have is important. And why is it important to contact them first?
Because first one, I think is usually first one who gets the contract.
Yeah, you're right. And also after, and by 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, what's going on? How many people have they heard from?
Probably 7.
In Sac, it would have been a lot. Yeah, like 6 or 7. I don't know about out here because I never did it out here. But in Sacramento, we had to be first. I started calling at 6:30. And did people get mad? Yeah.
Very rare.
That's rare. And then when they get mad, you just like, yeah, well, I'm calling you because, why do you think your house didn't sell? Just switch them over, right? How come you didn't think your house didn't sell? If you had moved, where would you go next? What did Jimmy Rex say? Did you hear when that guy got mad at him on the phone?
No.
All you realtors are you guys are all the same. He was calling on FSBOs. How come you're not using a real estate agent to sell your home? Well, you guys are all the same. You guys aren't worth it. You guys are, whatever. I don't need a real estate agent. And the last time I hired a real estate agent, he was really good at communication until his sign went up, and then I never heard from him again. And Jimmy's like, yeah, how do you think I feel? I have to work with real estate agents every day. And the guy laughed, and he got an appointment. That was the one that he told him no, 11 times before he finally made an appointment. I just thought that was awesome. So take a look at what's going on. This is gonna kill FSBOs too, by the way. Because what's the thing about, most FSBOs are what? When they go on the market?
So easy.
Overpriced.
Overpriced. Yeah, most FSBOs when they go on the market are overpriced. They're trying to save the commission and overprice their house. And they're not gonna do either one. But
It's kind of like agents that cut their commission. They always overprice the house and cut the commission.
yeah, which is fine because 5% of nothing is nothing.
Yeah. Very much.
Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. It dovetails into it, and you had your hand up. Oh yeah.
So yeah, door knocked for the first time with Sean here on Saturday, and then showed a house on Sunday. So yeah.
What was the big win was one of my lenders was with us. The lender knocked on the door, he hears a voice, and he looks around the corner, and says, Julie? Shelley, or whatever her name is, and it's her, they
Her
want,
sister's
want-
friend, yeah.
looking to buy, so just door knocking, he saw like two people that he knew, and then, 10 other contacts.
Yeah, awesome, way to go. And for those of you guys that don't know Coop for Werda, this is Coop for Werda. He's in here just taking a look at us right now, and Sean and him are talking, so welcome.
Thank you.
Very cool. Anybody else have a success they want to share? So while we're on haves and wants, who else has something that they have coming that they want to pitch? It's not currently in MLS, it's just coming on the market. What do you got coming up, Sean?
One on Earl Street, it's already signed, a 1,100 square feet, 5,600 square foot lot, over next to the palm reading place. It's actually really quiet, even though it's next to Highway 12, that's gonna be at 325. Then I have one over next to Elsie Ellen High School, has a big lot with RV parking, 2 private gated driveways where you can have probably 10 cars down one side of the house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The cinder block house, so we don't see those sell here very often. And that's gonna be at 365, that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And then one over in Coffee Park, it's gonna get some little touch-up, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, about $410,000 for that particular property, though, that she's moving in September, so.
Cool. Thank you. Who else has something coming they want to share? All right, Brett.
Finally, 1523 Plumeria Drive is going to go on the market. Talked with the gal this morning, and so a week from today we'll put it on the market. It's a little 3 and 2, it's about 1,100 square feet, nice big 8,000 square foot lot. It's over there, kind of behind the Schultz Museum off of Russell Avenue. $350 is the price.
Cool.
So,
Very cool. Yes.
I'll have something about 3 weeks, 4 weeks off of Yates Drive down by Montgomery Village. It's a flip. They stripped it down to the studs, basically rebuilt the whole thing. It's gonna be about 1,600 square feet instead of about 12. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. It was pretty trashed over there. But that's gonna be the mid-5s. It's gonna be pretty awesome.
Anybody else? All right. Here's the calendar for this week. There is no Bold on Wednesday. This is the Wednesday that it skips. Interesting about Bold. There's most of all we have like 24% of the class was from the wine country, from Keller Williams, from us. And because of this, because of you guys' support for Bold, and because of us, you know, being willing to travel all the way to Palo Alto once a week, 5 hours of driving, they're very serious about working with us to get Bold up here in our region in the spring. A few things have to happen to do that. The easiest and best way for the Market Center to take the least amount of risk, because otherwise the Market Center is going to take a huge financial risk to bring Bold, and it's expensive to bring Bold no matter what. But the way that we can do it that makes the most sense for all you guys in your profit share and to get Bold out here is pre-registering for a spring Bold. In other words, that means that you go on, you register, you pay the deposit registration part of it, and once they see that we have 50 pre-registrations, it's a done deal. They give us the date, they give us the runs and everything. So look out for that. You're going to see some communication, because we're going to start early on that. You'll see some communication from us in getting that process started. Of course, if you pre-register for it and we don't meet 50, your registration will be refunded to you. That's how that's going to work. And so keep an eye out for that. The broker risk announcement for today, the best thing to take away from this is there's nothing wrong with managing your own properties. Don't do it on brokerage forms. Don't do it through the brokerage. Don't have your clients come and drop off checks. Don't, I'm sorry, your tenants, that kind of thing. You can't use, you're really not even supposed to use the brokerage's space for any activity in managing your own properties. That would include sitting in your office and calling somebody to go fix something that the tenant wants fixed. So I don't know how they would find that out, but I'm just saying that's the only issue with this. There is no other issue with you guys managing your own properties, and I know some of you guys do it. Eileen, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, we've had to have a couple people in the office leave because of that, because they were having their tenants drop off money at the front desk, and then they were saying that they dropped off more money than they did, and then our agents were asking our front desk staff, unknown to us, to count out the money and give people receipts. And people were dropping off checks and.
We cannot do that here. We will not do that here.
In fact, what I will say is that caused an investigation, a DRE investigation in Oakland, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that was part of the deal.
A little commingling of funds.
Right.
When they get into filming.
Yeah, BRE loves it when a brokerage also does property management from a revenue standpoint, because they get to go in there and just light them up. So, while we're on the property management note, Steve Cohen just got a check today from Pacific Properties. Some of you guys were here when the 3 broker owners of Pacific Properties came in and talked about their services, and I highly recommend them. I've dealt with them on the tenant side, and they're unbelievably professional, and I've talked to the person who owned the property that I rented, and he loves them. So in Sacramento, at least, that was always an issue. Trying to find, when you have a client who says, hey, who do you know that's in property management? I'm telling you, in Sacramento, I wouldn't say anybody. I was like, you know what, I know some people that are in property management, but I would never put my name to their service, because in general, the rap on the industry, at least in Sacramento, and they pay referrals on rental listings. I think it's $150. And so the way that works, just so you know, is it comes through like any other referral. Check gets made out to Keller Williams Realty, it goes to Dennis cuts it out like any other referral, because you can't. It has to go through the office, because you have to be paid. Only the broker can get paid referral fees, right? And then it goes out that way. So anyway, they're great. You guys should check them out. And I think their phone numbers and stuff are on the backside as well.
Can we
Anybody
back
have any
up,
questions? Yes,
can we back up to buyer's needs when you finish with that?
absolutely, 1 second, I said.
One question, that's, I have a property management person who I've given 3 names out, they're all fine.
Mhm.
That, periodically, I will get like, a little coupon to, a gift certificate to a restaurant or something like that, an appreciation thing. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to get that sort of.
I don't know the specific rules on that. I don't know if there's an amount that you can't go over. I know like little, gift cards at Starbucks and stuff like that are no big deal, but I don't know.
Oh, just real quick, I have a buyer looking for, they work in Marin, they're looking for a 3-bedroom home on approximately 5 acres in the Katati, that side of Sebastopol or this side of Petaluma, a home, and then they have a home to sell, a nice home, track home.
Where?
In Petaluma. That'll go around $750, but they wanna find this home first.
Cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Buyer need for Petaluma, 2 teachers. They own a property that will be in contract today, and price point is up to 500. Need 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Petaluma. That's coming up at all, that's not on the market.
There's a house on Pepper Road for $575, 3-2 on
How
like
big does
14
that have
acres.
to be, Sharon?
Talk to me. Any size, as long as 3-2. They're both school teachers, have 1 little one, so they're moving from a 1,200 square foot house, so anything 1,100 or larger.
So anything, okay, I'll
Yeah.
call a friend of mine.
Yeah, they're ready to go, they could close in 30, 60 days or whatever.
We can ask in the Petaluma meeting tomorrow,
Yeah,
the last part.
they're ready to go.
Do you know where Meadow Pine is?
Is that the
Petaluma.
condos?
No, well, it's over by Adobe Creek, the golf course, Cross Creek.
Uh-huh.
Do you know where Cross
Yeah,
Creek?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, good, okay, that neighborhood.
Do you have something for?
Well, that's where my listing point is on Tuesday.
How much?
Well, it's gonna be over 5, that,
Oh, their max is 5,
Oh.
unfortunately.
well, I'm also having one on Deborah, but might be not enough, because it's a little bit of house, it's like 1,100 square
That
feet.
would be perfect.
Oh, really? Okay, do you know where Deborah Drive is?
No?
Oh, okay. He's doing some remodeling on it, so it's gonna look a little bit better than just now, the tenant contract, some Deborah. It's 1,100 square feet, and I'm thinking I should probably be in the high 3s on that house.
Cool.
And then one last one, up to 250, Guerneville, vacation, second home. Anybody, builder? There's not much out in Guerneville right now, at 250 now, surprisingly,
Yeah.
All right, so don't forget about Eileen's income boost class today with the listening class attached to it as well, and the disc profile test. David Cohen's cards are right out here. Thank you again for coming out, David.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, guys, thank you.